There was an interesting point of view somewhere on forums, which I found in several other sources as well. Why is it that out of all the religions in the world, Christianity seems to be the most oppressed in the end? Because you don't see too many people picking up on Islam, but so many people think that they are afraid of Muslims because many of those would have horrible, offensive points of view. Yes, there are many people who are fanatics in Islam, but don't be fooled. Each and every belief, not necessarily a religion, each and every belief has their own fanatics, right? Because a fanatic is someone who thinks they don't have anything to lose. But first and foremost, they lost their humanity. Because only someone who gave up on their humanity can ever become a slave of a certain idea. They become so entrenched in the fact that that idea is the centerpiece of their survival. So therefore, that is why they become fanatical. Because they have a conviction that without that idea, well, they cannot exist, they cannot survive. When it comes to Christianity, see, the elites and everyone who hate Christianity, especially communism, which was designed to destroy the traditional family, to destroy Christianity and the white race as well. If you don't believe this, read the Communist Manifesto and you'll see these are three of its pillars. Well, the people don't hate Christianity. You have to dive deep into this. I've done this for quite a lengthy time, and the answer was quite interesting. See, they do not hate Christianity itself. They do not hate Jesus himself. Because, see, Jesus has passed away physically. Yes, we have to take this into account. When you look at Judaism and the personalities that it had throughout its time, when you look at Islam and the personalities they've had, like, for example, their most beloved Muhammad, and then when we think even about their version of Jesus, then when you look at Christianity and all their saints and the such, and obviously Christianity's version of Jesus, see, all of these beings, they have all passed away actually, right? They have all passed away and they have lived their life. They have serviced their community the way they could, but they passed away. Yes, they are no longer amongst us physically. They are around us in our own consciousness, in our own awareness, right? Because, well, while Muhammad may not be around us, well, Muslims still hold him dear, right? Muslims also hold their version of Jesus as well. They hold it dear because it's not just Christianity that believes in Jesus. Yes, there are differences here and there, but in the end, they hold that personality dear. Now, those who hate on Christianity, they don't hate on Christianity or on Jesus because Jesus was the big dog. Yes, the the biggest, greatest being. They hate Jesus for the symbol of what they are. Yes, or what they were, because they are no longer physically alive around us. They are alive in a certain dimension of existence. Now, why Jesus terrifies people and not the Muslim version, the Christian version, is because Jesus was not just capable of miracles. They hate Jesus because he is the embodiment of a peak of evolution that each and every human can achieve. I've been telling in previous videos that the majority of humans on this planet, though they have a human appearance, they're nothing else but not even a zombie. They are just a set of impulses. Yes? Typically, there are two or three impulses. All these impulses stem from nothing else but a survival. The first one is always survive. Yes? But this one cannot exist on its own. It must have an attachment, something else that supports it, right? They don't know survival of the physical body because when you look at them, they don't do anything to support their physical body. Maybe they don't even eat correctly. Yes? They are in need of a mental attachment. You have to take into account this because it is very important. Yes? I have studied this subconsciously to the deepest, bottommost levels that most likely psychology, psychiatry won't even tell you much. Or they will use convoluted words that will simply make you feel dumb or whatever else. because as of what I see, this kind of seems to feel as the purpose of all modern sciences, to make everyone else who doesn't know those feel as a dum-dum, while all sorts of idiotic people just prance around with hyper complex words that don't literally mean anything. So these humanoids that I call compulsions or, well, impulses, they are just that. They are an obsession for something. They are an obsession that seeks an obsession. Yes. At their core, the point is to survive. Yes. Typically, these humans do not have an impulse to survive physically. Yes. Biologically. They do not have a survival of their body. Yes, mainly because these cannot comprehend the survival of their body because they hate life that much. You have to comprehend these are the epitome of all the ills and all the pains that a human can have. They hate life so much, you will only hear them how much they hate their life. That is why they bitch, moan, complain, and whatever, because they usually have a small part of them which is social survival. Yes, and the only social survival they're capable of is vampirism. That's why they bitch, complain, moan, whatever, because they seek other people's compassion. Have they read any book on compassion? No. Can they perceive compassion? No, definitely not. They are not capable of emotions. They don't have any awareness at all. They are those kind of stupid people whom you most definitely know. Those who would suddenly find themselves in the middle of the road. They see a bus coming towards them, and their only impulse is to take a picture of them, to take a selfie of them before the bus hits them. Or they find themselves on a track, yes, and they have one simple impulse. They want to survive socially by making a picture, right? A selfie of those before the train hits them. Yes? Someone dies close to them and they take a selfie of that. Yes? This is the quality of those humans. You have to comprehend that. Yes? Psychologists will waste their lifetime trying to comprehend that. Well, I have intuitively observed this, and my system, my body as it works, told me that, because a secret that most people won't tell you is that the psychology is exactly the same for everyone. It's just that you use just bits of it. You can imagine psychology as a skill tree for all humans, and each and every human uses certain parts of it. There's billions of possible skills that you can pick, and obviously you will probably use a few hundred, right? Some of those may even have a different function from one human to another because their background induced certain adaptations into those things. Those are what I call functional cores. But well, the functional core as a personal term is something more complex. It's something way broader. Now, when it comes to these humans, yes, they only worship one thing, the survival of their self. Yes, a little bit is the survival of the social side. Yes, because they need to coexist. What do weak people do? They coerce, right? They combine in a single entity, right? Like a hive mind of their own pains, and they support that. Whoever wants to think and function otherwise, they will try to pull them down in any way, shape, or form. I guess you're already knowledgeable of that. Their most important part is the survival of the self, or whatever they identify as a self. You have to remind yourself each and every time this concept that I call the compulsions or the impulses. These humans don't have any stability. They don't have any mental stability. They are not capable of emotions. Yes? They may feel some emotions, but they cannot comprehend them. They might feel some joy, but they do not understand how it functions, why it functions. Yes? You have to comprehend those are like some simple energy that got embodied into a human body. This is the quality of parents throughout time. This is what the ignorance of men and women has led to birth, right? Women who don't care about themselves, for them only body count matters, or that they look good, or any such compulsion which they are not even aware of. You have to comprehend these humans cannot comprehend anything. These are the kinds of humans who reach intolerable levels of pain, so overwhelming amounts of pain that they hate everything. They hate everything about what they think they are. They know they are in a human body, so they despise everything. Every possible complex about it, every possible power that this physical body does. You have to comprehend those elites, whatever you call them, that rule the world. This is what they are. They are just compulsions. They don't have any awareness, they don't have any mind, they don't have anything. All they serve is just those three things: the obsession to survive, but they don't know what to survive because they don't have any awareness. You have to comprehend the lack of that. Yes, the vastity of this. Imagine someone who cannot think. Yes, they do not think mentally. They just have a few ideas which are transmitted from one to another, and they are reinforced. If someone learns an idea, they have to impose it upon the others because they are not capable of learning or adapting or anything. Yes, how they reached such levels of strength? Because through their level of madness, they ended up doing occult stuff. Yes, they're only capable of unconsciously feeling other people's problems. Yes, other people's misaccomplishments. They are capable of eating a certain nation's children. Yes, they are doing that through certain rituals, because only by eating other nation's children can you find out that nation's karma. Yes, their misaccomplishments, their weaknesses, because the child is technically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, well, an heir, yes, a follower of the generations that were before. The child has all the information of those people who were before them. And they are also pure compared to the mishmash that exists within adults who spend their time doing nothing, overthinking, and such. That is why some people don't mind eating children. These fuckers end up hating everything that regards a human capacity. Yes? And Jesus is one of the apexes of the human potential. There are levels beyond that. You have to comprehend Jesus Christ's level of spirituality, yes, is the highest one can achieve still in a certain level of stability. You can well go beyond Jesus because Jesus has not reached the apex. Jesus did not need to reach the full apex of humanity's understanding of how their physical body functions. Because in spirituality, you do not need to grasp the entirety of spirituality to understand all the dimensions of life. Especially since, if you achieve that, the only thing you have left is to simply become one with creation. You will feel that almost as a compulsion to leave the physical body and the limitedness of this. Because once you know everything about the psychological world, the emotional world, all the dimensions of life, you will simply crave to become one with those. Yes? It is the reason, for example, why Krishna has allowed their assassin to kill them. Because in the end they craved becoming one with, the cosmos, one with creation itself, right? Krishna is probably one of the few beings of our human history who has gone beyond Jesus' level. But still, we cannot compare the two because they lived completely different times. Krishna was a leader. He had thousands of people to support them, powerful allies, armies that would heed each and every word of his. He had servitors. He was a leader of an entire nation. Yes, an entire tribe, nation, clan, whatever you want to call it. Yes. He lived in, an excess of time. He had all the resources one human might need. And he had the time to simply comprehend all the nooks and crannies of the human psyche, the human mind, the human emotions, all the dimensions regarding humanity. Yes, and what it means to be a human, to live in this physical body, and to make use of it at its highest peaks, right? And he had the most valuable resource by his side. He had time, he had allies, he had everything a man would need. And he also lived in a society that fully supported him. Yes, he had people who would die for him. He achieved the peak of existence, and then he knew that he lived in this physical body which was very limited. So he thought to re-become one with creation. He had numerous challenges. He had wars that he fought, and he handled everything with grace. Yes. Similarly, Jesus lived a horrible life. Yes, but he handled it with grace. Yes, because Jesus had a horrible life. Krishna also had somewhat of a horrible life, because being a leader means the responsibility over each and every being under your command, right? It is a horrible life. And, well, he handled everything with grace. Compared to him, Jesus did not have that much time. He didn't live as long as Krishna, right? He lived in a situation where everyone hated him. Yes, everyone hated Jesus because of his potential, not because of his personality. Nobody cared about Jesus as a personality. But imagine that just one thing. In those times, a lot of people still use this thing that Jesus was tempted by homosexuality, right? See, in those times when everyone, like almost everyone, was promiscuous, right? It is a very easy temptation, right? To also feel promiscuous, to become promiscuous, or to be tempted by it. Yes? So the point is very simple. Though that it is easy, resisting it is extremely hard. And resistance creates a resistance on its own. Because the more you resist something, the stronger you make it. That is why a lot of people try to resist homosexuality, but become that themselves. Yes? This is not something that I would regard as shameful or the such. People have to learn their lessons. Because when you fight against something that you don't know, obviously you will fail one way or another. In a world where everyone was promiscuous, Jesus simply chose to not be that. Jesus chose to be kind, yes, although his history is not entirely correctly depicted, because Jesus is not the Catholic version, or more like the Zionist version, because they infiltrated Catholicism hundreds of years ago and made use of Catholicism as a facade to keep people in ignorance, right? To kill people in mass. That's why all the misfortunes happened in Europe and in no other place upon this planet. Yes, the Black Plagues and everything, they were arranged by the papality. You will be told these in time, when people will find truth and, well, first they have to find the truth within themselves and the courage to spread this truth. Because some people actually have proof of that. I can tell you that history of humanity was like that because I have felt certain things within myself. But spirituality functions in a way beyond the mind. You can feel everything about this cosmos, but it's hard to put it into words for the others. And especially it is hard to prove it through action or things like that. Because spirituality allows you to achieve all the possible truths of this cosmos, but it comes at the price that they are personal only. Because the only way you can make people do a cult is by forcing them to do it, maybe, or by teaching them that. But you cannot teach spirituality. You can teach religion and have everyone believe the same amount of beliefs and thoughts and points of view like you. But you cannot teach people spirituality. They have to do it themselves. Because spirituality means you're going inward, and that is a whole cosmos on its own. It is the same potential for each and every human. There is no such thing as someone is less capable of spirituality than someone else. People will obviously be more or less capable of religion, because religion means comprehending some ideas, following those. It is already set in stone. You have all the possible ideas which are already set in stone, and you have to follow those. Some people can follow those in a fanatical way only. Some people can follow those by means of soul. Yes, some people can be very kind and follow those principles. Some people can only follow those principles as a means of comparison towards others, right? And many people can experience religion in a different way. Yes, occultism is the same exact thing. It is still a mind-based thing because occultism is also physical-based. Spirituality is no longer physical-based because spirituality means comprehension of some dimensions of life which are beyond physicality as well. Yes? So, when it comes to this, humans do not hate, well, miserable people do not hate Jesus because of what he was, because of the miracles he did. They hate Jesus because of the potential that he showed, and as the reminder that everyone can actually be like that. Yes? Beyond that level of Jesus, we can look at Krishna, for example. And I'm telling you this as a Christian, but being Christian doesn't mean anything because I'm a realistic being. I am quite rooted in reality, and I prefer presenting things from a standpoint of objectivism rather than just investing emotionally stupidly. Yes? People have to comprehend that Krishna's level in terms of spirituality is much higher, but ended like that because they had all the resources on their side. They had way more time for that. They had allies. They had so many things. They had people who would die for him. Yes? Compared to that, Jesus only had 12 followers, out of which one betrayed him. Yes? While those followers did spread his teachings, they did it a bit in the wrong way because they ended up teaching their teachings before people were ready. Yes, people were not ready for Jesus' teachings because they were illiterate. That's why Christianity, similar to Islam and Judaism, which were also preached to illiterate people, mainly illiterate people, they became the zomboid religions that you see today. Yes? Why I call them zomboid religions is because they don't make much sense to people. Not that the people care about the sense of those. They just do their chores, they do their stuff, and that's it. Yes, they do their stuff and that's it. They don't understand anymore why they do that. Because, as I said, most humans are nothing else but these impulses, these compulsions. That's why I don't call them humans, because they're not humans. They're just a nitty bitty point of survival. Yes, they are not survival itself. If you want survival itself, you look at animals, because survival itself is hyper complex. Yes, look at animals. Yes, they have societal survival, which is broad. They have so many behaviors for that. They have physical, yes, personal survival, yes, obviously. And they don't care much about the survival of the self, but they have that as well. They have all these three survivals, yes, these layers of survival within them. But these compulsions, they don't have such a thing. As I said, there's always a maximum of three that they have. The first one, the main one, as I said, as well, I'm going to repeat myself a bit, is the survival itself, yes, which is blank. There's literally nothing in there, no stability, no nothing. You will see they have little to no sense of saving their physical body. Some of them may actually do. Yes, some of them may actually do. And in exchange, they don't have, for example, societal survival. Yes, for example, narcissists. They do not have any societal survival. They only have survival itself, which is backed by survival of the self and, well, survival of their physical body. You see, many narcissists end up taking great care of their physical body because they feel like gods, they are afraid of death, and they want to live as much as possible. Many narcissists will take good care of their physical body. They will take the best care they can of their self or whatever they identify themselves with. That is why these people who are not even humans or people or anything, they are just compulsions. That is why they have no, and I repeat, literally no difficulty identifying themselves as a tree, as a crow, as an animal, any possible concept they simply identify themselves with, because they don't have any depth towards meaning. They cannot even comprehend meaning, they are just making use of it to survive, and that's it. You have to understand how low, how simple those are. Yes? Their survival is much simpler than that of a virus. And a virus, well, is a few billion times smaller than them, but still has a greater survival than them. Yes? And a far greater existence because it does a lot of things, especially a bacteria, right? It does so many things to survive. It is like a chemical plant. A survival of a bacteria can rely on even the synthesis of 100 or 200 different substances. Yes, a bacteria can synthesize and conduct that many processes, while these bozos in a human body, right, they're nothing else but a compulsion, not even a demon. You can compare them with demons, but a demon is something more complex. Depends whether you refer to demons as the regular energies or the demons that were created by humans as constructs through occultism. Yes, you can call them yantras, you can call them whatever you want. Yes, there are two types of those, but maybe that in a different video. Hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. And this being said, Ferenc on board signing out.